Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Wealth Defense Radio, the podcast. I am your host, Josh Inahosa, and I am an independent advisor representative for Swan DFW, which is the company that puts on this podcast. That's our company.
I hear it's a really good company.
And that stands for Sleep Well at Night Dallas Fort Worth, which is where we are located.
That's right.
And I am here with Captain Swan, Hector Inahosa. He is a certified financial planner, which is the top mark in our industry, and he founded Swan 10 years ago this year.
Yeah. Wow, that's gone fast. Yeah, Captain Swan. So, yeah, I'm like a rubber ducky now.
You need a hat.
I need a hat. Ooh, I need a hat. Yeah.
Just a nice swan hat.
A good swan hat.
Today's episode
Yeah.
is about coming down the mountain. And we're not talking about the old song. We're talking about
She will be coming.
retirement.
Yeah. It's going to be
spend a lot of time getting up to the top. We spend less time thinking about how we're going to descend.
Yeah, it's going to be an important episode, I think. So, yeah, stay tuned. So get good. But first
First things first. How's your golf game?
Okay, second things first. Yeah, it's I don't know what the hospital calls it right before they say, okay, yeah, turn off the machines. It's done. But we're there. I can hear the beeping of the, little machines, and they're just so. Anyway, hopefully it'll be revived. And they're doing some things to try to do that, but right now, it does not look very good.
Hector's in golf lessons, and he had a thing called the Mamba.
Yeah, we'll have some video. It's a big rope, and you try to get the rope to make waves, and it's supposed to make you help you turn and build muscles. And I'm really sore today in places I've never been sore before. Because evidently I've been swinging a golf club wrong. And everything I've known to be true my entire life, he's telling me is false.
I do hate when that
I
happens.
hate it. He said, who told you to keep your head down? I said, everybody. He said, hey, you're keeping it down way too long. What are we doing here? Anyway.
So he's telling you're doing things all wrong on the golf course.
Yes.
And Hector's spiritual gift is telling people that they're doing things all wrong.
In life, in general.
Yeah. But part of that is sometimes he has to do that financially.
That's right.
And so...
Well, I've never had a ton of it. They're doing anything way wrong. Usually we have to tweak a couple of different things. So that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I don't remember a client where I said, everything you're doing, not like my golf coach. I'm a people person, I know how to do.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that we often have to tweak
Yeah.
with clients is their post-retirement plan. We spend a lot of time thinking about how to get to retirement.
Right.
We spend way less time generally thinking about retirement itself and what we're going to do and how we're going to make it from the end of working to end of life.
Yeah. Yeah, and so a long time ago, I heard somebody say it, and so, I only steal from the best. And he said, the quote is, something like 70% of people that climb Mount Everest that die on the way down. And the question he posed to us was, why do you think that is? And everybody had really good answers, but the real answer is, we spend so much time planning to get to the top of the mountain, and we think that that's job complete, we did it. But the reality is, for most people that climb a mountain, they want to get down the mountain, share their pics and tell their stories. But there's not a lot of time taken sometimes to plan how we're going to get down. And so how that translates to what we're doing is we spend a lot of time trying to build that mountain of money, and we get a lot of money in our 401ks and our RIAs, and so we got this mountain of money, and that's the contribution stage. But now we're going to flip it, and now we're going to start taking distributions, and we want to make sure that when we get called home, when we pass, when we die, there's money left. The biggest fear people in their 60s and 70s and 80s have is running out of money. And so that's the big thing today is, why is it so important to think about and to plan for to make sure that you don't run out of money as you're taking the money out and still continue to live a great retirement lifestyle?
Yeah, I would argue that even more important than going up the mountain is making it down.
Yeah.
Because you can make it 85% of the way up Everest, but if you don't make it down, it doesn't really matter that you made it up to the top, right? You need a good descension plan.
You want to get home safely, like in baseball. The whole object is to get back home safely, and that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, so why don't you talk us through?
We have a chart here. So this person has done a really good job of accumulating $1 million in his 401ks and IRAs and investment accounts, so that's a good thing. And we're going to take out about a 6%, which is a little high, what we call a withdrawal rate. And we've only increased the growth rate because we're going to get more conservative as we get into the distribution phase. And so we're going to assume about a 4% growth rate. So we're taking out $60,000 a year, and we're growing at 4. And when we do that, you can see that the chart, we eventually run out of money, but it's going to last 26 years. So if you retired when you were 65, 85, 91 years old, which is about life expectancy for most of us.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
Right. Assuming 4%
4%,
growth.
right. And we would like to think we can get a little more, but for illustrative purposes, we want to...
All of these numbers are hypothetical,
yes,
of course.
Yes. But now what happens if, and that's really where we earn our money, right? So what happens if we have another 40% decline in the market, and it happens at the worst time for you, right when you had $1 million on January 1st, and now here we are in June, and in 6 months the market is down 40%. I don't think it's ever gone down that fast, but it's gone down fast, especially the pandemic and the housing bubble and the boom. So now you have a $600,000 balance, right? You've lost 40% of value in the market, and we're still taking $60,000 out, and that's important because once we start taking an amount of money out, we get used to living on that amount of money, and asking somebody, especially in retirement, to start adjusting their budgets once in the retirement, that gets pretty hard to do. And you don't have many options when you get into your late 70s and 80s of earning more income. You're pretty much set. Mm-hmm. So this person had $1 million, now it's $600,000, still taking $60,000 a year because they want to live a good lifestyle, still getting a 4% growth rate. Now the money lasts only 13 years. And so you retired at 65, now you're 78, and now we have a huge problem. And so one of the things that as financial planners and all the planning that we do is we want to make sure as best we can that never happens to you.
So why is that important to have money in your older age?
Well, and it's important to have money all the time, right? But as we get older, there's a couple of things that we start not wanting to do. The first thing is we never want to become a burden. We want to make sure that we have enough money to take care of ourselves and our spouses. Because if that plan fails, then it's going to be left to our children to take care of us, to take us in. And that's not a situation anybody wants to be in, and that's certainly not a situation that somebody wants to be in who's ever had to take care of a parent or a grandparent, because having a parent or grandparent in the house changes the entire dynamics of the home. It's not a bad thing, it's just different, and it puts different stresses, and it's just, and we never want to be that. We never ever want to be a burden. We want to make sure we take care of ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The other thing is we don't want to be a burden, and we don't want anybody else making financial decisions for us. We want to have enough money to decide what it is we're going to do, especially when we get into healthcare. And you're young, so you don't know this, but as we get older, more things start to break down. And I was telling somebody, I was having coffee with somebody a couple of days ago, and I said, it really frustrates me that when I walk into my doctor's office now, they know me my name. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not where you want everybody to know your name. So you want to make sure that you have the financial wherewithal to make decisions where you're independently making decisions for yourself and your spouse. You don't want your children to do that. And you certainly don't want the federal government to do that through Medicaid or Medicare. So if money's important at 40, it's way more important at 70 or 80. And so we want to make sure that we have enough to make sure that we don't become a burden and we keep our independence.
The other part is it's much harder for people to make money at 70 or 80 than it is at 55 or 60 even. There's part-time jobs, clearly, that you could get as a greeter somewhere or a cashier or whatever part-time jobs elderly people get. The list eludes me off the top of my head.
Golf coaches.
But the opportunities are much less as you get older.
Yeah.
I think you don't see a whole lot of 90-year-olds working at Walmart, for example.
So that brings us back to when we're making a financial plan for a 60 or 50 or 65-year-old, is we want to run our worst case scenarios in our software, because we'd rather tell somebody when they're 60 what you're trying to do with what you have doesn't work. We'd rather do that when you're 60 or 55, when you have all those options, and say, let's fix that problem today. So your 80-year-old self will be grateful you did it today. We don't want to sit with an 80-year-old and say, yeah, we're going to have to cut back on, stuff. And so, it's sometimes these are tough conversations to have when somebody is trying to live beyond the means they will have. But I think most people will be grateful at some point that we told them, now we need to tweak this, because what you're trying to do ain't going to work.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
So in this very hypothetical, very limited, we don't know a lot about the family or people, what sorts of tweaks would we look at in this situation where we're running out of money at 70 and we kind of know that beforehand?
So if we started to visit with this family, we would probably say something like, maybe 60,000 is a little high to take money. Maybe we need to tweak it. And the wonderful thing about our plan is we can reduce that amount. We have what's called a what if scenario. And so if we say, okay, well, what if we don't take 60, but what if we take 55,000, or what if we take 50,000? So that's one. Two, and what a lot of our clients do is they say, okay, well, why don't we take a portion of that and guarantee a lifetime income for the rest of our lives. And those are fixed index annuities. And in the next 3 weeks, we will do a series just on that, so we can show how you're able to sleep well at night when you know for sure that you have a paycheck coming every single month from your annuity. So you have your Social Security checks. If you're lucky enough to have a pension, you'll have a pension check hit your mailbox, and then you'll have your annuity check. And when you get that money every month, even if all of your accounts are at zero, you can spend all of that, because if you wake up the following month, all those checks hit again. Mm-hmm. And so that's a good feeling. People really, really like those things when, guaranteed income is a huge thing. So that's probably what we would do, how we would tweak this. We wouldn't ever take all of the money and put it into any product, because as putting all your eggs in one basket is not a really good idea. But we would find that perfect balance of how much guaranteed income do we need to supplement the money we'll be taking out of the portfolio to make sure that there's money left on the last day you're on this side of eternity. And so we really get into a plan. It's not just us telling someone, here's what you need to do. It's really a partnership saying, okay, what if we did this? What if you didn't retire at 65? Maybe you retired at 66, or maybe you retire a little longer. You save a little more now. Maybe you take a little less. Maybe we change the way you're investing now. So there's a lot of different things we can do in the 50s and 60s, because like you said, there's not going to be many options at 80. So it's a joint effort. We'll get to a plan that works. We have always gotten to a plan that works. We've always gotten to a plan where people walk away going, this was good. I like it. It's, and now we have a plan. And so we encourage people to do that.
Yeah. So if you would like to contact us, we have a couple of different ways you can do that. The first way is via a phone number, and that is 888-792-6339. That's 888-792-6339.
What does that even mean? That's a lot of numbers.
It's a phone number.
And
we also have an email address. No, so that spells 888-SWAN-DFW.
Oh, that's what I was looking for. Brilliant.
Yeah, somebody should get a raise for
I
that.
should, yes.
The second way, if you'd prefer written correspondence, is info@swandfw.net. That's info, short for information, INFO, at SWAN-DFW, Swan like the bird, DFW like Dallas-Fort Worth.net.
Yeah, SWANDFW.net, 888. Yeah, and what in coming attractions we may look and do some looks at the market, because we've got a bunch of people who really like last week's podcast. They said that was really good. And you know what? Apple is up. I don't even know how much, like 8 or 9% since we talked. So I would say we're brilliant.
Mm-hmm. This is just like the time we kicked Spotify stock up.
That's
by
right.
Getting on Spotify. Wasn't Joe Rogan at all. It was
us.
Just us. I would say us and Joe Rogan are direct competitors.
Yeah, we humbly submit that for your consideration. Yes.
So, if you have a financial background, we can help you. If you think your 401k is just a long race that your company signed you up for, we can help you. And anywhere in between.
That's right.
So,
yep, it's never too early and it's never too late.
Yep. So. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Thank you. God bless.
The preceding content is informational only and based on information available when created. It is not an offer or solicitation, nor is it tax or legal advice. It does not consider your financial circumstances and objectives and may not be suitable for you.